Hello everybody, welcome back to another Woodworking Wisdom. Special treat today, we've got Pontus here from Tormek. We're going to look through the machines that Tormek make and manufacture, and got some new jigs to look at. So really exciting day today. And again, I love Tormek. It's such a great sharpening system. You know, when I first come down here and I wanted to be able to sharpen the tools and you know, with the wood turning and the hand tools and all the array of things that we need to keep sharp down here, Tormek really gave me a way to be able to get into that sharpening with their simple recipes to follow and the kind of step-by-step process that you go through, which really allows any kind of beginner to get a professional grind, a really beautifully polished bevel. So, you know, that's why I really like Tormek, is it gave me a really easy into the world of sharpening. We've got 3 different models that we're going to, you know, look at today. We've got the T4, we've got the T8 Custom, and the T8 Original. And Pontus is going to show us how to sharpen a knife, and with sharpening that knife, we're going to use a brand new jig that they've just made. So quite exciting. We've got a new piece of kit to play with, and we're going to explain the differences. And Pontus, would you mind if I just quickly explain the difference between the jigs before we get going?
Yeah, no problem.
All good?
Course, yeah.
Good stuff. So we've got a brand new jig here. I think, actually, can I bring it over onto the close-up camera? So if we come on to camera 3 here, Colin, that's great. We've got the brand new knife jig. The great thing about this, I'm not sure if we can quite see it on camera, but it's split right down the middle there. Okay, and if we compare that with the older style jig, and I've been using this jig, thank you. I've been using this jig for years and years, and you know, it does a great job of sharpening all your knives. But they've even improved on this, you know, this knife jig. And the way it works is, if you look on the older model here, we have this fixed jaw, and this this open jaw here comes into meet on that register point. So what that means is, if we have a long tapered blade, the older style jig can sometimes just slightly throw off the angle because the flat of the blade is on this register here. The improvements made on this one with this constant split right down the middle, and we have those 2 jaws that come in together to hold the blade, is it's going to hold it central, and that's why they've renamed it the centralizing knife jig. But a really nice bit of kit. Again, this is another thing that I really like about Tormek, is they're constantly reviewing their products, constantly improving them. So you know, really great jig.
Yeah, the new jig is perfect if you have thicker knives. You know, instead of, well, if it's thicker, then it could be sometimes different angles on the side.
Sure. So if you've got you know, a more substantial knife, something like a meat cleaver or something like that, which has a big, it's thicker on the back, the big spine, that's really going to hold that really well. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. So I'm going to pop those down there, and I'm just going to invite Pontus to have a look through the machines with you guys, and you know, share his knowledge with us about these machines.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I've been to Tormek for over 27 years now, and we have been working with Axminster for almost the same long time.
Yeah,
I think it's only almost 30 years. So it's nice to be here with you, Ben.
Thank you.
So, well, we'll show you 3 different types of machines, and we have this smaller model, the T4, aluminum oxide sharpening stone, and we have a leather honing wheel on the other side. And it also comes with the honing compound, PA70, and some oil you put on the leather honing wheel before you put on the this honing compound. And it also comes with a angle master and the stone grader that you can change the grit on the stone from 220 up to 1,000. And we'll also have this edge marker pen that you can use for setting the angle. Instead of the angle master, you can use this marker pen method. And also a plaster if you need it. And all the machine comes with a very good handbook.
And just while you mentioned the handbook,
yeah,
this is one of the best manuals I've ever seen. It's really clear and really well written, and you know, that step-by-step guide, the recipes that you get in that book to come to your the angles and things like that. You know, it makes it so simple to follow that quick, you know, 1, 2, 3 steps. So that book is one of the best manuals I've seen in a long time. So it's a really well written thing.
It is, and we update it all the time. So if they made a registration on our webpage when they have bought the machine, they can always download a new handbook on the web.
Brilliant.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you go on to the bigger model, the T8, it's the same kind of sharpening stone, the aluminum oxide, and the leather honing wheel, and it also come with the exact same thing as the T4. Get this tray where you can put everything in, and it also comes with a square edge jig, so you can sharpen your chisels and plane blades. And you have this TT50 truing tool with a diamond tip, so you can true the stone totally flat again. And this is accessories and jigs that you can buy for your T4 and all the other older model too.
So these jigs, they work across all of the different types of grinders, different type of whetstone grinders. So any jigs you have on the T4, they're going to fit on the T8 and vice versa. So they're really well compatible. We've even got a machine over here that's 25 years old, and all of these jigs are just going to slip straight onto there. So really well, you know, they've supported all of their customers. Quite often a company will, you know, when they're changing things or redesigning things, those previous customers get forgotten about.
Yes.
And the, you know, the beauty of Tormek is that it just has everything's compatible. And we used to run courses here on how to use the machines, and we would have all sorts of you know, the older models come in, older jigs as well. So the older jigs will fit on the new machines, and you know, so they've really done their homework and thought about their customers when redesigning and updating these things.
Yeah, and this storage tray always fits on this
so that's your Tormek stand.
Tormek stand. So you can have everything stored, so you know where to find it.
That's it.
Yeah. And if you go to the custom model, the T8 custom, so this is where you can customize your own sharpening system. You can decide if you want to have a leather honing wheel or a composite honing wheel. This composite honing wheel, you don't need any honing compound. It's inside. And you can choose if you want to have what kind of sharpening stone or diamond wheels. So we have different diamond wheels, 3 different diamond wheels from 360, 600, and 1200 grit. And then we have also the, you can choose the black stone, you can choose the Japanese stone, and you can choose the original stone. And this machine comes with the angle master and the handbook. And the universal support. That's all. And this could be a perfect machine for those who maybe have an older model also. If they have a stone that works fine right now, but you want to have this feature with the elevator or the new housing with a sink top. So if you want to update an older model, you can just choose this custom model.
Really great option if if you're trying to, you don't have to go out and buy a new wheel. If you've already got those bits and bobs, they're just going to go straight onto this this Tormek. So you're upgrading the body, but saving a bit of money through using your things that you may already own.
Yeah, and if you know from the beginning that I want to have the diamond wheels on. If you're a wood turner and only use the diamond wheel, you can go for the custom model. And also, if you not want to sharpen the chisels or the plane blades, you're a knife maker. If you want to only sharpen knives, you can go for this one and buy the knife jig instead.
Yeah, so you're kind of not having to spend money on things you may not use.
No.
Yeah, so exactly. It's a great way of of getting into Tormek and not wasting that money on bits and bobs that you're might not suit your kind of craft or hobby that you do. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good. So are we going to have a look at? Sorry, just while we mention this wheel, because this is fairly new.
It's fairly new. Well. Yeah.
Yeah. So we don't use the honing compound with that one.
No.
That's so that's going to be cleaner and tidier in your workshop.
Yeah. So it works in the same way as the ladder honing wheel. So that could be an option for those who don't want to use the honing compound, or you get almost the same results. So
yeah, sure. Oh, good. Yeah, I'm looking forward to using that one. Yeah, it's a new product, and I'm really keen to have a go with that. So we're going to have a look at a bit of knife sharpening.
Yeah.
Have a look at how that new jig's working. Pontus is going to have a go on the T8 here and just show you or demonstrate how that jig works, and give us a excuse me, a good look at how we sharpen a knife. Worth mentioning that Tormek have a really good YouTube channel. If there's specific things that you wanted to see how to sharpen, how the setup goes, have a look at their videos. And also here on Woodworking Wisdom, we've done a video on the T4 and the T8. So lots of information out there for you guys to have a look at. Today we're kind of focusing on the machines themselves, and we're going to sharpen a knife.
Yeah, and I will use the new centering knife jig for this kind of. It's your kitchen knife, isn't it?
That's right.
Yeah. To see if it will be sharp enough for you. And it's the same thing how to set. You just put the knife for the edge, so it will be like a parallel to the edge, and then you lock it with the 2 screws like this. And I will use the marker pen method, so I can find the angle that you have used to have on this knife. You don't need to change the angle. You save the knife if you use the same angle all the time.
So what Pontus is doing here is using the marker method there is a recipe that you could follow, and that's in the book. But this marker method is really good for finding a pre-existing angle. So if you've already got an angle on your knife, on the bevel, this is a really quick way of replicating that angle. So you taking off less material, and then taking off less material prolongs the life of the tool.
Yeah, that's correct. And then I just move this back and forward and see how it takes. If you take away all the black color, otherwise I just move this a little bit up and down with a micro adjust, and then you lock it and go. Back and forward like this. Then you can see, take away all the market, and then you can feel the burr on the opposite side. And when you can feel the burr all the way, you know you have sharpened correct, and you sharpen the whole way down. Otherwise you go and do the same thing again. Like this. And when you can feel the burr on the opposite side, you just move the knife and sharpen the other side. So the burr gets back to the first side. Then you're finished. Then you go back and you hone away the burr. But I can show you when I doing this, if you want to have a knife if you have a longer bevel and you want to have a convex shape, you can start sharpening the knife. You have this stop here, keep it there and sharpen the edge first like this, and then you can move back and forward to get it a little convex. Curved.
Oh, wow.
And also if you have a cleaver and with that is very wide, you can use this stop over here so you come up a little bit higher. And also we talk about this, we have an extended universal torch US 430 that have longer legs like this, so you can even higher.
Yeah, great. So that's really good for your long kind of chef's knives.
Yeah, long knives and like cleavers and but longer knives.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
But when you have sharpened the knife finished, you go to the honing wheel, and I put some honing compounds. Should I use this one?
Okay.
So this leather honing wheel is quite new, and I know, Ben, you put some oil on it first.
So I put that kind of priming oil on there.
Yeah, and then you take this honing compound and put it in. You can take a knife and then work it in like this all the way. When you have done this once, you just fill in with a little bit more extra compounds when you feel that every third or fourth time you hone the tool.
So that leather will start to hold that compound. And,
Yeah.
So you don't have to apply the compound every time you sharpen.
Like this, and then you can start just follow the edge where you have sharpened. And if you have longer knife, you just hone like this. So otherwise you just hit the stone. So you move your knife on this side. Then you change the side. And this you can do back and forward for many times, just so you can see that the burr is disappearing. We'll see if this will work in your kitchen afterwards.
Yeah, I'll send you a report.
But you can feel with your knife, with your finger on your nail, if it's, oh, there you can feel that I have a little bit more burr there. You just take away it. Like this, then you have a new edge.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. And just important to realize, Pontus just turned the machine. It's on the rotating base there. So when he was sharpening the knife on the stone was coming towards him.
Yeah.
And then for honing, we rotated the machine, and really easy on that rotating base, just to turn the machine around. Tormek don't really have a front and back to the machine. It's a kind of vertical or horizontal position. So yeah, just make sure when you're honing that wheel is always turning away from you. So we've got our first question.
A couple of questions, Ben. So this is from Peter. He has a T7. What's the compelling reason to consider upgrading?
Okay, so just to reiterate that question, Peter has a T7, Pontus.
Yeah.
What would be the reason to upgrade to the T8?
Well, you have a good machine with the T7, so I don't think you need to upgrade it for the T8. But the difference is you have the elevator on the T8, and otherwise the sink top is good, a little bit more precise, and
because all of these these kind of bits that hold the universal support, they're machined as part of the body now.
yes, it
so
is.
On the T7 you have a plate that's actually fixed to the body of the machine. This is all machined in one, and quite a complicated to hold, I imagine, and sort of bore these holes and things.
Yeah.
So again, that's improving on accuracy and things like that.
Yeah. Otherwise, the stone and the lead honing wheel and everything else, the engine is the same. So
good stuff.
Yeah, another question. This one's from Paul this time. So he's been waiting till today to buy a T8. What would be the best way to change the angle on a wood turning skew chisel, wanting to make my chisels more beginner friendly?
Okay, so maybe you could help us a bit with this. We've got our resident wood turner here, Colwyn. So the question was how to make a skew chisel a bit more user-friendly through changing the angle of the bevel. Come on, could you elaborate on that, or is that something
Well, one thing I think, if you sharpen it like with a little convex edge, so it's not straight, because it's easy to turn with a convex edge on the skew chisel. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And what angle you should have. It's depending on what you should working on, what kind of wood.
I'd always add, just start with the Tormek settings, just to start with, and use the honing side. Make sure you get a really polished bevel as well. But you can also go settings according to the Tormek book. All the instructions are there.
Yeah.
So easy to follow.
Yeah.
But really polish the bevel.
Yeah, and also use the TTS 100, the turning tool setters, and follow the instruction and get your shape and what you need, and so you can easily repeat the shape. And if you do it once, you will have it easily to come back and sharpen it again. But sometimes the first time you sharpen the tools, it takes a little bit longer time. Especially the skew chisel, it takes some time.
A lot more of the bevel in contact with the skew chisel. If you imagine on a roughing gouge or a bowl gouge, you're only grinding a very fine line front to back on the bevel, whereas the skew chisel, the whole thing is in contact with the wheel. So it does take a little bit more time because you're removing more steel to change the shape. Again, refer to that handbook. It's fantastic, and you'll have lots of different options in there on bevel angle. It'll talk you through how to use that multi-jig, how to set it up. But yeah, refer to the book. If you haven't got the handbook, quite often you'll have a little instruction sheet in the jig box. So that can be really useful. And online again,
we have a lot of YouTube's movies
absolutely
about this. So.
So check out Tormek's YouTube channel. There's a few hints and tips. I think we did some wood turning on the T8 in a previous woodworking wisdom video. But there's so much information on Tormek, and there's so many people, craftsmen out there that own these machines, and they love talking about them because the results are so good. Quite often on their own channels, they will show you how to use Tormek. So in talking about the Nick Agars, I know Colin is a big fan of Tormek. So individual people on their channels are going to have information on how to, to use the skew or sharpen the skew. But always refer to that handbook and check out the Tormek YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So one more, it's a bit of a curveball, this one. So Cliff wants to know, how should you dispose of the residue when finished?
So we're talking about dressing the stone or what's in the bottom of the trough. Okay, so I would say don't put it down the sink.
No.
That's your...
And if you have the T8, we have done it, you have a scraper on the side with the magnets. So it's easy to take away, and then it will... You can take this camera. So this is a magnet scraper that comes, and it fits like this. You can easily clean your trough and throw it in your trash can.
I would, put it in the bin. Don't put that in the sink because it is a stone particle and it will kind of sit in the U-bend. So don't flush it down the loo. Don't put it in the sink. Dispose of it as you would any kind of rubbish. Okay, so it's got to go in the bin, that one. Or get yourself a diamond wheel, and that's all. You don't ever have to dress your stone.
No.
You don't get any kind of mess. And that magnet on the trough as well, it pulls all the shavings, kind of waterborne shavings to one side. Really well thought out, and user friendly. Okay, good stuff.
Yeah, and as you said, the diamond wheel is perfect, and we have like 3 different models now for both the T8 and the T4.
Yeah.
So it's the DF250, DC250, and DE extra fine 250, and also the same thing for this T4 or T3, the older model, but the smaller one is 200 millimeters.
So
the same
diameter of the stone.
Yeah. So that's perfect things to invest in if you want to have the same size of the stone all the time, or
Sure.
same size of the wheel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, that factors into the recipes. So as you're using the stone, the original stones, over time that stone will get smaller, and of course that affects how we set the jigs. With that diamond stone, it's a constant diameter, so you can come to the machine each time, and we don't really have to reset our bar and things like that. It's going to be the same as what you left it at. So a really nice quick setup for things like the diamond wheel.
Yeah.
Okay. Was there anything else you wanted to highlight, Pontus, before we sign off?
Well, I think we have gone through all the machines that we should, and we have shown the knife and the wide knife centering jig. Is the, if we unpack that, we can just get trapped in this box.
There it goes.
So it's the same thing. It's looks like this old one, but it's the same thing. That's the new centering, wide centering knife jig is for filleting knives and
so knives that have a bit of flex.
Yes.
Yeah.
You use this one.
So really nice. You get that extra support along the length of the knife. As Pontus said, things like fish filleting knives that have that flexible kind of thing going on. Get that bit more support and stop the knife from kind of flexing. Okay, so another question.
Yeah, a couple of really good questions actually, both from one from Paul and one from Peter. Which of the diamond stones works best for wood turning? And is there any differences in the cutting edge from the 600 to the 1200 grit once the edge has been honed?
Well, I think if you only go for one diamond wheel, from the beginning, you should go for the 600 wheel. It will work for most of the wood turning tools. The 360 is better if you have a lot of, you want to change a lot of the shape and the angle of the tools. It become a quicker removal of the steel. But I go for the 600. And if you go up to the 1200, you get a very fine surface. But if you compare to a honing, if you take the 600 and then go to the leather hone wheel and hone away, you get a finer surface, but you get a finer surface quicker with the 1200 diamond wheel. And if you have like a lot of small wood carving tools and things like that, the 1200 could work better from the beginning.
So a bit less aggressive. So if
Yeah.
you've got something quite delicate, you want to sharpen, you don't want to take too much material. That 1200 is really going to, slow down the sharpening process. You get a lot more control, but a lovely polish off and a lovely finish off of that type of stone. So I guess it kind of depends on what you're doing, what tool you want to sharpen.
Yes, and also an advantage of the diamond wheels, I did say before, it's that you can use the side of the wheel, so you can get a flat surface if you want to have that in some of your tools. So and we have also some accessories, so you can use the jigs on the side of on the wheel. So but you can see that on some other movies.
Yeah, we've definitely check out the Tormek's YouTube channel. Using the side of the wheel will give you a flat bevel.
Yeah.
So instead of the concave that we get from the shape of the wheel, which is very usual in lots of sharpening, if you come to the side of the wheel on the diamond wheel, it's going to give you a flat bevel. So like Pontus said, really good for things like carving chisels, where perhaps you want a flat or even a bit of a belly on the chisel. You can achieve that on the side of the stone instead of grinding a hollow. So Yeah, is it? They thought of everything.
Yeah, we try to think if we have someone who wants us to do something, we check if this is possible, and then we try to innovate something that will work.
Great, good stuff. So we all good for questions, Colin? Anything else coming in before we sign off? I can see that hand.
We've just had one come in from Paul. My plan is to keep the wheel that comes with the T8 from full rough shaping. So the diamond wheel would just be for keeping the edge there. So he's going to keep the original wheel and get a diamond wheel for.
Yeah, that sounds good.
And that the original wheel is fantastic. It's very flexible in that you can grade it up to that 1000 grit using the stone grader, and really quickly take it back down. So if you're switching between shaping and sharpening, you can rough the stone up if you want to change angles or change the kind of shape of the bevel, and then grade it up to 1000 grit to kind of polish the bevel. And then of course you've got your hone on top of that. So it gives you lots of flexibility of what you want. So if you've got lots of different types of tools, or you've got lots of tools that need reshaping, definitely don't get rid of that stone if you upgrade to the diamond wheel. It'll definitely have its uses in like you say, for quick reshaping and things like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Good stuff. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for being here.
Learned a couple of little tricks there, just watching you sharpen the knife. Thank you so much for joining us on our Woodworking Wisdom. And you're joining us also up in Makers Central. We're going to go up and have, it's the weekend up in Birmingham. We've got Makers Central this weekend. So we're going to be there as Woodworking Wisdom, and Tormek have their own stand. Also lots of different, lots of stuff up there to see. So, hopefully we'll see some of you there. But for now, we're going to sign off, and we'll see you next week for more Woodworking Wisdom. Thanks again, Pontus. It's been great to see you today.
Yeah.